Media. As consumers, we are bombarded by it at every turn, like the Incredible Hulk being bombarded by gamma rays. But what makes some media endure, while others are banished to the forgotten black hole of obscurity, never to be heard from again? Who or what decides this? Hetero life mates Steve and Yahel want to know, and they want to know now. This is Obscurity Now. Woo! What's up, everybody, and welcome to a very special comics-centric episode of Obscurity Now. My name is Steve, and with me is my tag team partner,
Yahel. And when you said special episode, I thought maybe it was some sort of 90s anti-drug episode, and I had completely misread the format.
Why would I want anyone to say no to drugs? I mean, as long as they're decently priced, I guess.
Yeah, right. You don't want to get gouged.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no better high than a good deal. That's what all the addicts say.
Absolutely. But welcome, everyone. If you're looking for our live chat, it doesn't exist, baby, because this is a pre-tape. And for this pre-tape, we thought we would try something new and delve into the world of comic books, which is something that's very special to me. And how about you, Yahel?
I am not as an avid comic book reader these days as you are. I still occasionally will dive into an arc, if I hear that it's good or whatever. But I collected for a long time. Unfortunately, just kind of tapered off as the years went on. But a lot of good memories with, especially in the 90s comics. And this is a 90s comic.
Oh, absolutely. And basically, that's what this show is all about. Looking at obscure characters or obscure media in general. But specifically for this episode, we're going to be looking at a pretty obscure Marvel character, although he does sort of have his own kind of cult following. And so we might as well just get right into it and go to our feature presentation.
Welcome to your feature presentation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are taking a look at the 90s. He's kind of a teen character known as Darkhawk. Yahel, have you ever heard of Darkhawk before?
I had never heard of Darkhawk, and I am really surprised I didn't at least hear of him, because especially in the 90s, man, like I was in comic book shops like every week, a couple times a week, and I would always look through especially like the Marvel and DC books, like just whatever, even if I wasn't going to buy it. So no, but I had never heard of him.
Yeah, the 90s was a great time to be a collector, especially if you were interested in new characters that, didn't have 20 years of continuity. Marvel was trying a lot of new and different things to get readers, especially since, this book came out in 1991. So I don't think they were trying to compete against Image yet at that point. I think the Image revolution was 92, 93?
Yeah, that sounds more right.
But this early 90s Marvel universe of comics is the Marvel universe that I remember, for sure. It's sort of slightly gritty, but still writing towards a age group of 15 to 8-year-olds. And, in case you wanted to read the issue that we are going to talk about, dear listener / watcher, we're discussing Darkhawk #1, which is a Marvel comic that came out in March of 1991. And it's created by Tom DeFalco and Mike Manley, who was the artist. Tom DeFalco was the editor-in-chief, of Marvel at that time, or at least of this book. But the book was actually written by Danny Fingerroth. And
great name.
I know, yeah. He turned down...
We're a few drinks in, so it doesn't take much to...
he turned down a successful porn career so he could write Darkhawk.
By the way, I like how he turned down a successful one. So he didn't have a porn career, but they knew it would be successful.
Right.
When they offered it to him, they're like, listen to your name. I'm offering you a successful porn career.
No, I have to go write Darkhawk and many other comics. But
much like Chris Powell, he was destined for another fate.
It's an edge against pornography, for sure. But Chris Powell is the alternate identity of one Darkhawk, who I'm just curious, how would you describe Darkhawk's look? I mean, I've got my own ideas, but like what couple or characters would you combine to create a Darkhawk?
I mean, I don't know if it's because of the name, but I definitely get some Shadowhawk vibes.
Oh, but see, he was after for sure.
Yeah, I know he was after. So, his helmet thing, maybe a little bit like, is it Nova? I'm thinking of that has like a similar like cross kind of a thing.
Sort of. I'm thinking outside of the Marvel universe. I mean, of course, you don't have to use the same characters as I'm using, but I'm just curious your thoughts.
I don't know. I can tell you what I thought about the outfit. I was pretty unimpressed.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, they improved upon it. If you
I saw some other art from later on, and it looks better later.
As well as you will, dear watcher. There's a couple of Darkhawk, newer Darkhawk drawings here in our lovely slideshow. But no, to me, Darkhawk is a little bit Silverhawk and a little bit Wolverine.
Okay. I don't see. I see the Silverhawks for sure now that you mention it. Yeah, like it's very obvious. I guess Wolverine, because he's got those claws, right? Yep. Those 3 claws.
He didn't really use the claw in this issue, which we will see.
Right.
It's actually not just like Wolverine claws. It is a how to call it? It like shoots out and it's got like a wire, like a grappling hook. That's what it is. A grappling hook.
Okay.
So yeah, like I know you said you were reading comics in the 90s, but specifically in 1991, were you reading?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I can't believe you missed it then. Like this was one of my second or third comic. Like there's a comic coming, a Darkhawk comic coming up that has Punisher on the cover, and that was like my second or third comic ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't hear about him either. I was really surprised when I opened up and like the first thing I think it was like the first or second thing we see is like Hobgoblin.
Yeah, beautifully rendered Hobgoblin.
Yes.
I think the art is pretty stellar here on issue number 1, which
pretty strong.
I mean, if you've read comics for a while, sadly you see that for new characters that are starting up a new series, they put a very sort of A+ team there for like the first 1 to 10 issues. And then they switch it to a not so great team. But we're here to talk about issue 1, not the whole run of Darkhawk. So we'll just jump into a synopsis here. Oh, well, real quick, what were you reading? I mean, I know it's probably hard to remember, but during
91. I mean, I know I would have been reading X-Men, Uncanny X-Men. I can't remember if Jim Lee's X-Men had already come out or not. I think it would have been pretty close to around that time, maybe 90.
I think he's been on X-Men since like 89, I think.
I mean like when they gave him his own X-Men series.
Gotcha.
I think that might have been 90, but sure. because I read that from the beginning too. But I know I was definitely reading X-Men. I was reading Amazing Spider-Man. I would pick up like random stuff from DC. I would like pick up like a Batman here or a Superman here, usual stuff like that. But yeah, I was really into all the X comics. So like X Factor.
Really? X Factor?
X-Force.
For some reason, I could never get into X Factor. There was no one in there that really interested me. Although I did read a version of them much later. I
wouldn't say I even liked it that much. I was like, oh, you got an X? I'm a dumb kid. I'm buying this.
What's this movie? It's got triple X's on it. Let me take a look.
This is 3 times as good.
Mom, come watch this with me. No.
I think Mr. Fingerroth is in
this. Nice. No, I was a big Punisher guy in the early 90s, and Captain America. which, I mean, they're kind of polar opposites of each other, but whatever, doesn't have to make sense. And also, I mean, much like I am today, I'm always on the looking out for new and interesting characters. But really, the reason why I probably discovered Darkhawk is because the Punisher was on the cover of that. It's like third or fourth issue, so I had to pick it up, and I thought that guy was pretty cool, or at least Darkhawk, at least his look was intriguing for sure. But I know back then I definitely didn't have a Darkhawk -- 1 like I do now. That's right, I'm rich in Darkhawk #1s. But would eventually go back to revisit the character. It's kind of Darkhawk is kind of a running joke among many other '90s characters in like the Facebook groups, who everyone goes in there and they talk about their key issues, like their Amazing Fantasies and their X-Men #1s and stuff. And like one guy just to like joke, he'll be like, "Well, I have a Darkhawk #1, ha 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 ha," because they're worthless because there's like thousands of them. They in the '90s they printed thousands of copies of everything, but I genuinely like Darkhawk, which is why we're talking about him today and why I suggested that we cover him. So let's go right into the synopsis here. Chris Powell, aka Darkhawk, was born in Queens, New York, while witnessing his policeman father accept a bride from a crime boss at an abandoned amusement
a bribe, park. Not a bride.
I said bribe.
I think it's a bride, like a woman.
Oh boy, this is off to a great start. Okay. Teenager Chris Powell discovered a mysterious amulet. The amulet allowed him to switch places with a powerful android that his mind controlled. Powell vowed to use the amulet as an edge against crime. In this role, he worked with other superheroes and battled a number of costumed villains. And that is from the IMDb, if anyone cares about that kind of stuff. So, Yahel, since I assume this was your first time reading Darkhawk #1 as an adult male, I'd like to know, well, I mean, maybe we should run down what happens in the issue first.
Sure.
Do you think you can take it, or would you like me to take it?
Well, I mean, we can kind of switch back and forth a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I did like a lot how it starts off with Hobgoblin and with this guy. What was his name? The evil guy,
Baxon, something like that. Yeah, lots of good intrigue at the beginning. That's like classic pulp stuff when you start out with the bad guys first. And I also liked how in the very first 2 pages you get like sort of like this, I don't know, it's almost like a little tease. It's like, this is Hobgoblin, and he's going to go up against a hero that hasn't even been invented yet. You have an awesome picture of Hobgoblin in one and Darkhawk on the other, and then it shows Hobgoblin dealing with the mob guy, Paxson.
Yeah, this issue, I will say this issue has something that almost all 90s comics have, which is like some kind of like pretty cheesy, not so much the dialogue itself, but like I don't know what they're called, the yellow square,
like the narrative stuff, like
the narrative stuff. And like at one point when I can't remember if it's when Darkhawk's revealed. Oh, it might be on the first page at the top. It says like Darkhawk, the hero of the '90s or something like that.
There was a lot of that. Like if you get a New Warriors #1, which I have, which becomes Darkhawk's team later on, they say heroes of the '90s. Which I guess they were just really trying to appeal to the youngsters back then. And
it makes sense. It makes sense, but. Anyways, I did like that it started off like that with a little bit. And like I thought it was smart to start off with a well-known character.
Mm-hmm.
It already makes Darkhawk feel important.
Sure,
like he's going to be important if he's going to be dealing with Hobgoblin.
That Hobgoblin looked awesome.
Yeah, he did. I think it's probably the best looking. Not that the rest of the art is bad, but I think it's probably the best looking page in the whole book.
Sure, it would definitely get you to want to buy one.
But I thought the backstory with the family was pretty well done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it was not a backstory yet. I mean, that's like our present day, basically. Just showing Chris Powell's day to day. Dealing with his cop dad and district assistant district attorney wife, or not wife, mom. Yeah, and
yeah, that's what I mean. Like the backstory of the story, like of the family. I thought it was set up pretty
right.
well.
Yeah, I like this book because we get an origin, but it doesn't tell you everything. So there's a lot of mystery moving forward.
I like too that at first you don't really know who is going to be Darkhawk.
Right.
So it kind of forces it kind of almost like subconsciously forces you to pay attention to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, maybe it's going to be this district attorney. Maybe it's the dad, maybe one of these kids. Oh God, I hope it's not one of the little kids, but maybe it will be,
And it's funny that you mention Shadowhawk because they use the exact same sort of literary device for like the first couple of issues of Shadowhawk. You never knew who he was. Actually, you didn't know until...
No, it went on for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And he was... they made a big deal about the fact that Shadowhawk was black. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Shadowhawk. Yeah, so we get to see the day-to-day of one Chris Powell, who's got an amazing mullet, by the way. And, he's the eldest of this family with a cop dad and a assistant district attorney mom and two little brothers who are twins who are really, really bratty. But I don't know. I'd say that's probably accurate. We learn pretty early that there's Chris's mom is involved in this big case with the mafia, and they're putting the screws to her, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'll just say right off the bat in my kind of my bad list is like, okay, Chris and the twins, they look like, regular kids. Chris's dad looks like a typical cop dad. But man, his mom is like a smoking like supermodel.
Yeah. I thought like she was, I was like, how old is she supposed to be?
Like, I don't know. She looks like, she doesn't look like anyone who's had kids. Let's put it like that.
She looks like a 21-year-old model or something.
Yeah. So yeah, basically.
Not that you can't be like, very attractive at a DA.
No.
Whatever,
I mean,
but
this is indicative of comics at the time, like for sure.
Right. Exactly. I think that's more than anything what it is. It was just kind of like Chris is so old that it was like, wait, how old were you when you had Chris?
Yeah.
Because she seems like she's in her 20s, and Chris is like, I don't know, like he's out of high school, right?
No, he's still in high school.
He's in high school.
That's a weird thing about like comics at this time. Because even the New Warriors are also supposed to be all teenagers, but they all look like they're, I don't know, in their early 20s, the way they're
right.
drawn.
That's what I thought, Chris. Because Chris does say he's studying at one point. I thought it was like for college.
Oh, no. He's a high schooler. He's at least 18 or younger. So, yeah. So basically, we're in the Powell home. I'd say they have a pretty decent life. And the mom gets this, she's out on a case, and this a mob guy accosts her. Does she get a phone call? I can't remember.
Well, somebody shows up at her office.
That's what it
and
is.
Like throws a bunch of money, and he's like, Mr. Baxton or whoever tells you to keep up the status quo and leave well enough alone, something to that effect. And she's like, no, I won't do it. I'm too pretty to do it.
Then she comes home and like tells her husband, and then he's all like, oh man, it's so hard being a policeman. If only we had an edge against crime. And this is again, it sort of goes into my bad category. Is like, where are if things are so bad in Queens, like where are all the other Marvel superheroes at this time? I
don't know.
Yeah, like I mean, I guess they can't. I guess it's like they say there's never a cop around when you need one. Like maybe there's never a Marvel superhero around when you need one.
This is the problem with having too many characters be in like big cities. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you said that. But anyway, moving forward, basically, dad goes out, mom goes out, and Chris has to watch the kids. And then his friends show up and we're like, hey, let's go to the local soda jerk and get a soda.
Yeah, real weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For the time,
it's a real like 1940s thing.
Yeah.
Like, let's go get a soda.
I wonder how old Danny Fingerroth was when he was writing this. But
it's just really weird. Like, they should have like been like, oh, let's go to the arcade.
Yes, I would have preferred that too. Yeah, let's go play a vintage Frogger, which wouldn't have been vintage at the time.
I mean, just something that you can't just walk to your fridge and do.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's more about him hanging out with his friends, of course. And I mean, very irresponsibly, he says, kids, stay here. Olsen twins, stay here. I'm going to go out and have a soda with the boys. I'm sure
He says he's going to be back in 15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes. Like, you can't talk about girls in 15 minutes.
Steve, let's think about the logistics. It's got to be at least 5 minutes to get to this place. Right. And I'm being like very generous there. 5 minutes there, 5 minutes back. That's 10 minutes. You're going to have a whole fucking soda in 5 minutes and talk to your friends too.
Well, maybe, he's a teen. Maybe he's not the best with time management. Like, I'll give him that. I still suck at time management as an adult. So,
Steve, I think it was just, I don't know. It was just weird. Like, say 30 minutes, an hour. Like,
right. Well, then, I mean, I think if you actually hear yourself saying an hour or even 30 minutes, you're like, oh, I should probably stay here with the kids. But if you lie to yourself and say 15 minutes, then everything will be fine. Like,
I see.
Yeah. Sure. But anyway, so we didn't even talk about, in the very first scene between Hobgoblin and Mr. Basin, they're talking about this magical power that the Hobgoblin really wants, which now that I'm talking about it out loud, it seems weird that the Hobgoblin would ask a mafia guy to get this amulet for him when normally a Hobgoblin is more of the henchman type who usually does his own dirty work. But whatever, I'm going with it. I'm suspending my disbelief here. Actually, prior to the whole babysitting incident, the twins ask Chris Powell's dad, I can't remember his name, Cop Dad, let's just call him that. They say, Cop Dad, will you please take me?
Mike, I think was his name. Mike Powell.
Mike Cop Dad. Will you take me to, I mean, it's basically Coney Island, I imagine, but please take me to abandoned amusement park before they tear it down. And Cop Dad goes, sure, Slugger, tomorrow or next weekend. I have to work late because, I'm a cop and I do a lot of cop stuff.
Got a lot of copping to do.
Yeah, a lot of copping to do. Now, excuse me while I go cop your mother. That didn't happen. But anyway, so now fast forward to the babysitting incident. Chris Powell leaves his twins to play by themselves at home so we can go have a soda with his bros that I'm sure he sees at school every day. And then he gets home and we immediately cut to his mom chewing him out, going, my babies, they're gone. They're gone. Man, way to sort of just jump to conclusions. Right.
But I get it though, because the whole family's been getting threats and stuff.
Sure.
And actually, when Chris's friend shows up and he sees them outside the window, all he sees is these shadows, and he thinks that they're kidnappers.
Right, yeah. Another weird sort of question that I had when reading this is Chris's mom is an assistant district attorney, or even the district attorney. Shouldn't they be in a better neighborhood, maybe a gated neighborhood or something? I don't know. Did that?
Well, you think that they'd have at the very least, because they've been getting threats, there'd be protection.
Yeah, their dad is a police. Freaking cop. All he has to do is be hey, Captain, my wife's getting threats. Can you help us out? So I'm sure.
Yeah, they usually will put people on big cases under protective, custody, or not custody, but they'll have the police protect their home and that kind of stuff. But no. So I mean, but if they were doing that, then we wouldn't have a plot.
Right. So, you have to roll with it. There's a little bit of, again, this is more, pre, I guess, whatever we're dealing with now, where Marvel was still writing to 15 and 16-year-olds. And I mean, I enjoy it that way, just for nostalgia's sake. But yeah, so anyway, Chris says, I'll find them. I think I know where they are. I guess those stupid kids didn't want to wait for Daddy to take them to Coney Island. So they went ahead and went like pretty late at night to this creepy abandoned, I mean, straight out of Scooby-Doo, abandoned amusement park where this hobo is. And Chris Powell is all like, hey, hobo, have you seen my kids? And they're like, yeah, he's over there. He's like, have you seen my brothers? And it's like, yeah, they're over there. And while he's there, he goes in and witnesses what he thinks, maybe it is or maybe it isn't. He thinks he sees his dad taking a bribe.
Yeah, it sure looked that way to me. And even the other guys say like, oh, he's a crooked cop or whatever, like some of the henchmen from the Basin mob guy.
Right. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, but like Dad pretty much like leaves, right? And then
no, it's really weird. This is one panel that I really had a problem with the way it's drawn because it's not clear what happens. Like he gets handed the money, and then the bad guy insults him. It makes some like joke, and then it looks like maybe the cop dad punches the mob guy.
Yeah, I remember that panel. Yeah.
But it's weird, right? And then that's when the other guy's like, oh, I told you can't trust a crooked cop. And then they notice the kids are there. Right.
And, but, okay, so...
But yeah, then the dad, like, leaves, I think.
Yes.
I think you're right.
So he leaves, and then Chris has to go find the twins who have, and then they, like, the three of them fall through the floorboards of the amusement park?
Yeah, they're running away. They got noticed already. He had already found them. They got noticed, so they're running away. They fall through some rotting floorboards. It's like some basement area with some weird funhouse masks or something.
Of course, you got to have that. And this is when, all right, so he hears the thugs coming after him. And he tells his twin brothers to like hide in this closet or something. And he's like, oh, if only I could find something to use as an edge. I think, does he actually say that? I think he's like,
yeah. And he had already said it earlier.
Yeah, he says it again.
Like the dad said it. He said it in a thought bubble earlier, like twice. Hey, so this might be the third time that he says,
this is there with great power comes great responsibility. Like, you know,
not as good.
It's the most you could hope for in 1991.
Just need an edge.
I mean, most people don't even bother. They're just like, we're just going to write a comic and not have any kind of emotional core or motivation. But
I'm assuming that this was just leading to a partnership, some kind of brand deal with Edge Razors. And Darkhawk was going to be like pushing them.
I don't think Darkhawk ever reached that level of popularity in order to start hawking razors.
Maybe he would have if he just had an edge.
An edge against marketing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he looks for an edge against crime, and he finds the this weird amulet thing, and it turns him into Darkhawk. And this weird sort of, I don't know, it said it in the IMDb or the wiki that it's an android, but really at the time you didn't know if that's him in there or what's going on. And
they make it seem like it's him in there because like he's like, all the thought bubbles from Chris come out of it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they, drag along the mystery of what exactly Darkhawk is for quite a while. And it is his consciousness in there. Spoiler alert. So, I mean, it makes sense to have the bubbles and stuff, but, I mean, it's different. I mean, I like, what they did here, which is obviously why I'm talking about Darkhawk in 2021. But anyway, Chris Powell, aka the Darkhawk, proceeds to beat up these bad guys, and I have the panel. It's up right now. One of these stupid thugs, even though he can clearly see that Darkhawk has a metal neck, tries to strangle him with like a garrote or whatever, and then Darkhawk flips him forward. And then one of the thugs like actually gets. Does he electrocute himself, or does Darkhawk actually kill him? Let me bring it up real quick.
I think the guy went to electrocute Darkhawk.
Right, he electrocuted himself, a la Mr. Burrell in No Holds Barred.
Yes, from No Holds Barred.
I'm glad we were able to do a callback to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's cool because there's a thought bubble here for Darkhawk that says he's dead. Never saw a dead guy before. So so at least, you know, I guess they're at least treating him like a real teenager for the most part. But yeah, you don't get to see all of Darkhawk's powers as he dispatches these thugs. Like he's got those sort of Silverhawk wings that you don't really see in this issue that allows him to fly. And then he's also got the grappling hook claw. So anyway, he ties up the bad guys, and then he's like, oh my gosh, am I stuck as Darkhawk forever? And he grabs at the amulet and turns back to Chris Powell. And this is weird. And I'm looking at the comic right here. Apparently the dad didn't leave. I guess Chris goes back.
Oh, that's right, because they talk.
Yeah. And he's like, I saw what was going on. Tell me it wasn't what it looked like. Tell me, please. And his dad just goes, I can't, Chris. Take care of your mom and the kids for me. And he leaves, which is pretty messed up. And then you've got basically Chris just exits the place, and he gives the kids back to Hot Mama. And it's like the end page is him sitting on the bed, like thinking about, what if I get stuck is looking like that, the next time I change in there. Oh no, I'm gonna have to take the chance because I need to be an edge against.
I have to have an edge.
Yeah, I did it, and there's no turning back. Look out, his name was Basin. This is the age of what name did the old wino say? Oh yeah, Darkhawk. Yeah, Darkhawk, which is the most metal name ever.
Terrible name.
What? Oh no, it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it says what he is. And then the very last panel is a very close up, extreme close up of Darkhawk. Not Darkhawk, Hobgoblin, looking very bloodthirsty, and that is it. That is basically the sort of, I don't know, at least the beginning of Darkhawk, not his full origin, because that's unveiled over, I think, maybe the next 12 issues or something. And there's also the question of whether his dad is a crooked cop or not. So he has to deal with that. So my question to you, Yahel, is, did Darkhawk #1 make you want to read more Darkhawk?
I mean, kind of. My only real problem with it, and again, it's just a comic of its time.
Sure.
Some of the dialogue it's a little cheesy, very, very 90s. That was my main issue with it. I'm not super crazy about the Darkhawk costume. At least initially, I feel like it's a little plain.
But it's got shoulder pads, Yahel. Shoulder pads.
Yeah, they look like Zeus's shoulder pads a bit, actually, don't they? From again, No Holds Barred.
Oh wow, it's been a whole week since I watched that.
Yeah, I can't believe we both happen to wear the same shirts today.
Oh man, stop revealing too much information to our 3 watchers or viewers.
But yeah, I did want to read more. I thought it ended like, I don't know. I thought it was a weird way to end it. Like, I don't know. I wish it would have built up a little bit more intrigue, or we would have had a better. I get ending on a cliffhanger like that, but I don't think it was a very strong cliffhanger. I think it would have been better to have like, and I don't know what the rest of the story is, so maybe this may not make sense, but maybe like have Hobgoblin like watching him or something, or something like that. That was a little bit more like, oh, I wonder would happen right now, next. Where this, I was like, okay, if I see Darkhawk #2, I'll pick it up, but I'm not going to seek it out.
So if, like, I don't know, 8-year-old Yahel, or however old you were back in 1991, if you had read this comic, you would have been like, 1 is enough for me, is what you're saying.
No, I mean, what I mean is, if I happened to see issue #2 the next time I went to the comic book store,
pick it up.
I'd probably pick it up.
Okay.
But
right.
but if if it wasn't there, and unless I wouldn't like specifically go and be like, hey, do you have Darkhawk number 2?
Gotcha. So
it didn't leave me that longing.
So you think Darkhawk kind of deserves to be in the B or C list sort of level of Marvel superheroes?
I think one issue's too early to tell.
Okay, that's a good answer. I wasn't expecting that.
I did read see, the thing is, like, I read like some stuff about him, like how he exchanges, like his body exchanges places with wherever the android actually is whenever he turns into him. And that's why, like you mentioned, it's only his consciousness in the body. So I'm kind of like, all right, well, how did he not know where he was at before? Did they explain that? So I kind of want to know more about that. But that's none of that stuff's in the first issue. And again, I get not having it because you want to like leave some stuff to be a mystery. Sure. But I just wish the cliffhanger would have been a little better. But yeah, I think I certainly don't think it's a bad book. It's pretty decent.
Right. I mean, the book as a whole, I think, is it's definitely well written enough. I think I've read some other Danny Fingeroff stuff, believe it or not. But like Darkhawk is a character. Like, there's actually been sort of, I don't know, I think Kevin Feige has sort of teased that Darkhawk is going to show up somewhere in the MCU. Do you think Darkhawk deserves to be in the MCU somewhere?
I mean, I think anybody deserves to be in the MCU as long as they write a good story for it, you know?
That's a good answer. I mean, I'd go so far as to say that I think he has a striking enough look to where he deserves to be in the MCU.
I feel like they could make him look pretty cool, like in a movie these days. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, I suspect his look would work better, like as a live action thing than at least in the '90s art style.
Right.
So yeah, I'd be interested in seeing like what they made him look like, at the very least.
For sure. And which gender they switch him to.
Well, I mean, if he's an android, yeah, what does it matter?
Oh, right? That's a good point. Yes, it could be a symbol for like trans whatever. I think I've had two.
I mean, the android has no gender.
Exactly.
It's like an android
so anyone
body,
could be Darkhawk as long as they have that amulet. Which kind of cheapens it now that I say it out loud. It's like,
yeah, that was the thing in my bad column. I don't like characters where anybody can be that character. If they just have this thing.
Do you feel that way about like dudes in suits like Iron Man? Because that's how I feel about it. Because I feel anyone could be Iron Man as long as he has the suit.
Iron Man to me is a little different because Tony actually made the suit, whereas a Green Lantern, you were just chosen. I mean, I get it. You're supposed to have like a strong will or whatever, but whatever. But still, it's like, you didn't make the ring. You didn't like try and become this per se. You know what I mean? So, like, at least Tony's making his suits.
Right. Okay. So
but he's borderline.
So Green Lantern is more of a show.
This is a pussy, right?
I don't know. I kind of liked Guy Gardner because he was a jerk. Like, did you ever read any Guy Gardner?
Yeah. I like him too.
Yeah, I could live with Guy Gardner, but probably.
But I just don't like that idea of like anybody.
Right. It cheapens it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I got what you're saying there. So I guess final question is, should Darkhawk be remembered or tossed in the pit of obscurity?
Well, again, I think one issue isn't enough to make a decision on, but like I said, I did a little bit more research and I saw he like fights Venom, and the reasons why he gets into it with Venom seem pretty interesting. The stuff with his background and switching places with the android body, that is pretty unique. Like, I can't offhand think of another character that had that. So that could open up some like interesting stories. So based on that stuff, I would say, yeah.
I think you'd really like issue 27, where he accidentally teleports to the Starship Enterprise.
Does he really?
No.
Damn it, Steve. Well, there were some Star Trek crossovers. The Star Trek crew from Next Gen and the original series had crossovers with the X-Men.
Yeah, I was gonna say, on one of the YouTube channels I watch, Red Letter Media, I'm sure they're not watching and don't need my support in any way because they're already huge.
Huge. Yeah.
One of the one of the guys was jokingly reading the X-Men Star Trek crossover novel. Have you read that?
No, I've read like one of the crossover issues, but I didn't know they did a novel. Was it Mike? I assume
it was Mike. I didn't know you were a Red Letter Media fan.
Yeah. I like Red Letter Media.
They were one of the first YouTube channels I ever got into. All right.
Yeah, he's got a habit of bringing up Star Trek all the time.
I think you're the Mike of this podcast, of this show.
Well, there's only two of us, so I mean, a 50% chance of.
But I mean, you guys both love Star Trek, so there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, of course, I don't want Darkhawk to be forgotten. I mean, I wish that he would at least have like more going on in Marvel Comics. Even though the Marvel Comics right now is definitely not the Marvel Comics that I remember from the 90s or even from the early 2000s. And if Darkhawk were to show up in the MCU, I hoped it would be like the 90s version and not some like Disney abomination or something. So
do you know offhand how many issues he had?
That sounds like something I would have written down. Let me take a look here. 50 issues of the first run, and then I know there's been a couple of like mini series here and there for out like after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he had about 4 years, which I mean, I feel like a lot of 90s new characters had like pretty similar runs. Like Spider-Man 2099, I think, was something similar, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and plus, like, I mean, right now, Disney's pretty desperate. I mean, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel with the Eternals. So, Darkhawk is next, right?
Yeah, don't they have the rights to the X-Men now?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, that'll be next.
Just get ready for them to ruin them. It's gonna be great.
It'll be fine. I don't think it can be any worse than the last few X-Men movies.
The one that I watched, I can't remember which one it was, but I didn't hate it that much. At least it was serious. And they weren't all quippy and making jokes.
Oh, the one with old and young Professor X?
That was Apocalypse, wasn't it?
Days of Future Past?
Yeah, no, it was one like two after that. It was basically the last one that I saw. I just remember Magneto was on a train and he used his power. It was young. There were no old. They were gone. And he
okay. Maybe I didn't watch it.
It's pretty good. At least it's like, I mean, the tone is correct. I'll say that. I mean, it probably wasn't a good movie, but anyway, let's jump to the project report.
What on earth have you been working on? It's time for Project Report.
How's your video going and your new video going?
Well, I've barely worked on it since I hurt my back and it was hurting a lot to sit.
That's too bad.
So, yeah, but I started making the 3D models for it. I'm building an arcade set for it. But yeah, I mean, the voiceover is recorded and done, so I'm already like in the editing piece. So hopefully it won't take too long. It's going to be, I think it ended up being like 9 minutes long with the voiceover audio. So
nice, very cool.
What about you, man?
Well,
don't you have a comic book thing that's making some progress?
I do. Thank you for asking. Here we are back in the theater. I've been getting pages from my artists from Brazil that I pay. That's how you can get an artist, everyone. You just
pay him in Brazil bucks.
I pay him. I don't know. PayPal does the conversion, I guess. But yeah, this will be the first time ever. I don't know if I should unveil like an unfinished like thing here, but I just wanted to get Yahel's thoughts on the progress so far. So here we go. It's page number 5 from Escape from Eden.
Let me switch windows here. Oh yeah, that looks great actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I think that looks pretty good.
You think people will actually crowdfund that?
I think so.
Good. Yeah, I agree completely. Dude's worth every penny.
Yeah, it looks really, really good, especially like the middle.
That T-Rex. Oh, absolutely.
Ooh, that is a money shot.
Yep. Like if any of you are just listening to the podcast, please check out the YouTube video so you can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. It'll really stiffen your finger raw.
That is brilliant. We're not going to get any better than that. All right. Well, thanks for taking a look at it. And yeah, the crowdfunder for Escape from Eden, I don't know if it's going to be a single issue or a graphic novel yet, will be available eventually. Stay tuned to Obscurity Now to hear more. So is there anything else left to say about Darkhawk before we sign off here?
No, it was, I would say if people are interested in reading it, just keep in mind, it's a product of the 90s, so there's a little bit of cheese in it, but the overall story and, more so like some of the stuff that they don't talk about that sounds intriguing to me, if that's not intriguing to you, I would recommend checking it out.
That is a glowing review, I'd say. And I don't even know if I'm qualified to review it because I'm sort of looking at it through rose-colored glasses. But I've read it a few times, and I reread it for this review, and I still enjoy it. And I think Darkhawk is a character that deserves to definitely endure the test of time and not be thrown into the pit of obscurity, for sure. So this is your first time watching us, or if you're a long time watcher, we've only had 10 episodes, but I hope
sound like you're drunk.
I hope you've enjoyed our review of Darkhawk #1. Don't be afraid of the world of comics. Embrace them like we have, right, Yahel?
Yes, that wasn't weird at all. And if you are unwilling to give comics a chance, well, then you're just a jockass, aren't you?
What's that I smell? Dookie?
For people that don't know what we're talking about, they're gonna be like, I'm not listening to this.
Yeah, we don't have. This is our first comic review, but please check out our No Holds
Our No Holds Barred discussion.
Okay.
It's the episode that preceded this.
Yes, it did. And we will see you next week, where we will be reviewing not only the new Adventures of He-Man, which is the first time He-Man was rebooted that no one is talking about, but we will also be reviewing the new Kevin Smith, what is it, Masters of the Universe? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
So yeah, there you go. Something timely and new for you, the viewer / listener. All right. Again, please subscribe, like, and share on YouTube, or download the podcast, however you like it, and we'll see you next time. Did you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
You've been enjoying Obscurity Now, a podcast that's recorded live to tape and streamed to Twitch and YouTube. Subscribe so you never miss an episode or hilarious quip. Take us with you by following the download links provided in the show notes to wherever you get podcasts. And take notice of our various social media links. If that's what you're into, I'm not here to judge. And make sure you join us live next week at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific as we continue to discuss more obscure media only on Obscurity Now.